built schools for the blind. Yet, even in these schools, some lack sensitive devices or assistive, specifically for persons with albinism, thus making them learn using the brain. But a recent supply of sunscreen lotions. The other two count is Nyeri and space structures to integrate health programs into albinism. Then recommendation to the Ministry of Education. Communication and advocacy strategy on albinism, public education, awareness and training is needed. Then recommendation to the legislature. And for your information, I am privy to very critical information that our CAS is CAS for purposes of parliamentary affairs. Do you know what that means? When you're a CS for purposes of parliamentary affairs, it means that it's too close to the parliament, and therefore anything we have as a problem, we send it to him. Anglicans, you know what that means? Those who are Anglicans, that all your problems you send it to Christ or to the cross. So all our problems in the space of disability, albinism, deaf, name, we have our good friend, who I think His Excellency the President was very wise to choose for that particular area, because the problem has always been the person who can be able to articulate the issues. Not a person to represent, but to articulate. You can elect anyone, but the person to be able to defend you is more important than anything else. So we are very happy that you are appointed as a CS, and what is happening, we believe will come to pass, and you will assume your roles in immediate effect. And the rule number one that we give you is to look at this area that I'm about to read for you. Enforcement of laws against abuse of persons with albinism. You should ensure, I know you're still coming up with the laws, thanks to the idea to come up with, to establish the social assistance fund. This is, I'm sure, coming, and our good CAS will also, I'm sure, look at that when it goes to Parliament. Conduct effective public participation with persons with albinism. Also strengthen registration and vital statistics to ensure legal compliance to persons with disability. Integrate and harmonize systems for data monitoring and evaluation of persons with disabilities, and in this case, integrate with persons with albinism. Make provisions for legal support mechanisms. While I can just read that for purpose of understanding, there is an urgent need to have in place laws and policies on albinism, and with continued attacks, threats, and stigma, there is need to establish effective complaints mechanism, referrals to ensure better access to justice. Participatory programming for ownership and sustainability. It is known in this country that if we don't involve us, nothing for us without. So if you do it by your own way, you may actually do it wrongly. Okay? The water project in a certain county was water, good water. It was drilled by World Vision. But World Vision at that time, I'm sorry for anyone who was in somewhere. This borehole, there was no public participation.
So my session, actually, I was given a very simple assignment. I was taught to share challenges that persons with albinism face. And because my story is also the story of very many people in this room, we are going to make it very participatory. So I will be a catalyst and a facilitator rather than the person sharing my story. They will all share their stories in the 30 minutes. So I have my friend here. He's very good at ice-breaking activities and making people wake up and pay attention. Saidie.
Yes. Okay. Now what we are going to do, because it is just 1-2 minutes.
Yes.
What we are going to do, we just stretch up our hands, like you are now stretching. Breathe in, out. Breathe in, out. Good. Thank you.
You're such a participatory.
I think God will come, eh? Yes. So one thing I wanted to say before I start, and I'm sure they will allow me to say that. I'll try mix English and Swahili for the benefit of everybody. 2, this is a safe space for everybody. And when I say a safe space, you're free to share whatever is in your mind without feeling like someone will judge you. And without feeling like it's not the right space. So all of us, it's also a session for us to learn and unlearn. And because the theme today talks about inclusion being strength, it's not just persons with albinism telling their challenges. It's also we hearing from others without albinism, because we live with you, we are your brothers, we are your sisters, and there are things that you also know. I know some of them have been highlighted, but I'm going to adopt a different style altogether. And I want to start from when a child with albinism is born. And I will go, I know most of the people here. I know where they can give examples of their experiences. Dan, why are you scared?
No, I'm not scared.
Yes, because I think if just sharing my own story may not, like, I don't think sharing my story will help more than all of us sharing our different instances and our different understandings of the challenges. And I don't want to call them challenges, because I feel like what we experience are barriers. Is that a better way to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's barriers that persons with albinism face in the society. And like we said, there's a saying that I keep saying, like, for persons with albinism, we have cradle to grave barriers. When I say cradle to grave, unazaliwa unakutana na hizo barriers kwa labor room. Umeelewana? Unakufa, unazikwa. Mmesikia kuna watu wanazikwa maiti za watu wenye albinism? Hamjawahi sikia? Mmesikia? So unazaliwa labor room, unakuwa discriminated. Sawa? Hata ile unaishi kwa dunia, una experience all the challenges. Ukizikwa bado, even your dead body is not left to rest. So when I say for persons with albinism, like, I feel like we are subjected in this kind of a cradle to grave barriers. I mean exactly that. Like, you're born, you experience it, even when you die, you're not left to rest. And that is the story that for us here in Kenya, we may not have gone to that extent. But I think he's the one who talked about vulnerabilities. And vulnerabilities don't have barriers. If a person with albinism amezikuliwa Zambia, Mr. Mwaoza, what does that make you feel?
You know, we are one.
Good. So we are one. So the one thing that I think for we people with albinism, here in Kenya and globally, and that's why today is International Albinism Awareness Day, is that our challenges kinda like the things we experience in our stories are very similar, and that's why I said my story is really the story of almost everybody who is in this room who has albinism, and not just in Kenya, even globally. When you listen to the experiences, they border on like a lot of similarities and all that. So for today, I want us to start with the first category of barriers, which is attitudinal. Mnajua attitude ni nini? My friend, the one who just spoke after me, MP at large, Member of Parliament at large, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yes, now I want to take you back to your village where you grew up. What would come to your mind when you see someone with albinism, or when you hear of somebody with albinism?
Yeah.
That's why I said it's a safe space.
Yes.
Maybe you have changed your way of thinking, but there's somewhere you're coming from.
At first,
You're from Luya community.
yes.
Tell us Litonde.
They-
You know the word
they-
Litonde?
Yes. They actually say like there was a curse.
There was a curse.
Yes. And the curse is now manifesting
In that family.
in that family.
So when I talk of attitudinal barriers, there's the naming, the perception, and the things people say about people with albinism.
Yes.
I am very sure all of us, before you knew Jane or Isaac or someone with albinism as a person, you thought of that person as the name you called them in your community. Litonde means what in Luya? The true story.
That one is from Kakamega.
It means who is from Kakamega? Dan.
Yes.
Dan is from Kakamega.
Litonde means what?
Actually, I used to hear that name, but I didn't know the meaning. But I knew I'm being referred to.
What
But
is
I
the
didn't, up to now, I'm yet to know the meaning
The
of
meaning
that
of
word.
that label.
Yes.
What is the name of a white goat in Luya? Do you know?
No.
Do you know?
It's actually a Litunda.
Huh?
Litunda.
The tune. You see, what is the name of a white goat in Luya? No, let's talk. That's why I said it's a safe space.
Yes.
What is the name of a white goat?
Litunda.
Litunda.
But now in our tribe, it is a fruit. The
Yeah,
name that
it's a
is saying
fruit,
it's
yeah.
a fruit. Yes.
But originally the name Litonde that is used to refer to persons with albinism in the Luya community
Came from that.
came from that, and it insinuated it's a white goat. So when I talk of attitudinal barriers, when will a child growing up ever see Dan born in that community, see Dan as a person? They'll first see him as a, like, simbuzi mweupe. Do you get what I'm saying? No, but it's the truth. So when I talk of attitudinal barriers, it goes deeper to our culture, our languages, the things we say, and the things we talk about people with albinism. You gave the example of a curse. I've given you even further the issue of a name because I'm going deeper to that. And all of us here, I am sure we have been put labels and names. Marianne, Roseanne, how are you? You are the mother of a child with albinism. How are you? I'm reporting on your behalf. What are some of the attitudes ni vitu gani huko kwa society watu walisema ama wakafanya? Kama ukipita naye unasema kisema ndio anapita na pesa. To date, yes, that's what I'm saying. We are learning. Ukipita ndio huyo amepita na pesa. Huyu mzazi atawahi toka tena kwa nyumba na mtoto wake. They cared. But why are we calling people money? We all know why. So, and when I said it's a mindset thing and that has to change, then all of us have a role to play. It is not that just about having the laws in the books and all that, but in the street, Huyo mtu atakapeleka kwa polisi. Nani ambaye ripoti mtu kwa kumuita pesa? Do you have anyone who has ever reported? Nani? Hakuna? Kuna mtu ambaye report? Beatrice, sijai report mtu amekuita pesa? Eh? You've never. In the event I report, in the event you report, do we have even a legal backup? Legislature?
No.
We don't. So I want you to see how much, like how many, besides the gaps picked even in the study and all that, you said let us put a human face to the gaps. These are the real gaps. Tuko pamoja mpaka hapo wadau? Tuko pamoja? Yes. So when you hear person, when you like, people even say, but you people with albinism, you don't look disabled enough. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Mmesikia hiyo maneno sana? The convention, the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities defines disability as impairment and what? Times? Impairment times what? Barriers. The convention says disability is a compound of one, all of us now that call ourselves people with disabilities, we are born with impairments. Do we get that point? Being born with albinism as an impairment is not what creates disability. What creates the disability is the barriers. And these barriers include both physical, social, and environmental barriers. And here, social, when you put labels on people and really push them away from participating in the society, you have disabled that person. Tuko pamoja mpaka hapo? Yes. So when I talk of attitude, again, the other perception, there was a point where like, you apply for a job, you called it positive, you called it what? Like, you come for the interview, but they know very well, even when you walk into that interview room, they will not give you the job. How can you give a white coat a job? No, you know, we are cultured. Let us start there. So we come from a community somewhere. So at the back of our mind, we think of the caste, we think of the names that we know people with, and we think of the perceptions that we already have. So even when this person walks into your interview room, because you already have a mindset, a preconceived mindset that makes you not give this person an opportunity. So if we are labeled first, I have emphasized a lot on the attitudinal barriers because I believe if we break attitudinal barriers, all the other barriers are very easy to navigate. Who agrees with me? See only by the way. Who agrees with me? Someone else give us another example of truth. I think we've worked with you for a long time. And you've encountered persons with albinism a lot. What are some of the attitudinal barriers you know of? Well, can you hear Ruth?
Well, we have different perceptions about
Yes. Jane doesn't need that.
yes. So I'm saying that we have different perceptions concerning persons with albinism, but I'm glad with the awareness and the public education, all that the negative attitude is not as much. But we have maybe seen people saying that maybe a person with albinism, maybe a lady, cannot even get married. Yeah. But there's one example that I really wanted to give when we were talking about the mother of
The child.
the child with albinism. And I am thinking maybe there's a lot that needs to be done. And with one of the recommendations was on the health. What is our health sector doing to mothers who attend antenatal care
before they actually give birth to children?
Yes,
right?
yes. And I want to give an example. One time I attended a baby shower, and this of a very, very close friend, and she was telling us one of her anxieties is to get a child with albinism. Wow. You know, reason being she has relatives who have albinism. And I remember when she was driven to theater, because I was there and we were waiting for the baby, she didn't want to look at the baby. And so she was saying, niambieni huyo mtoto anakaaje, you know? So what are we doing? I think we need to do a lot of sensitization, not only after, even before. And reason speaks to the stigma and the discrimination and the stereotypes around persons with albinism.
Thank you very much, Ruth. I want to give a mother whose child is very young. Amanda, Mama Jenny. Tell us your experience when you got your child, and tell us how old your child is. I'll spend more time on this one because the rest I will cover, and that is the root cause of what we are discussing today.
I have a son. He just turned 4 years. He's Jamil. He has albinism. At first, I didn't see anyone with albinism when I was growing. I come from Western part. I didn't see anyone. So it came like a shock to me. But I thank God, my nurses from St. Mary's talked to me before they discharged me. But when I reached home, my in-laws traveled from Nyanza, from Siaya, come and see this creature. They call it iyo kitu wameza. They traveled all the way to my house. They didn't carry my child. They were just looking at me. Sometimes watu angalia vizuri. Maybe ni mweusi mgongo. Maybe mguu ni nyeusi. Mtoa tena. Mgeuze. It was bad. I felt bad. But I just understood. The worst thing I remember is when my mother-in-law told me when they were going, she told me, na hii kitu rudisha mahali kutoka. Kwetu hakuna kitu kama hii. So I just felt bad, but on my side, my parents were like, mtoto ni mtoto, kuna wenye wanazaanga bilema na wanalea. Sasa hata huyo tutamlea tu ni mlemavu wa ngozi. Sasa ako tu sawa. So I had that hope kwa sababu watu nyumbani wali support, and then the happy pia ni support. Nikagrow na huyo mtoi. He has come for ataenda kwao because I was told nirudishe mali nimetoa, nitampeleka aje kuona, niliambiwa nirudishe mali nimetoa. And then ikakuja hii time sasa I stay in Kandeni. Ikakuja hii time yenye ametosha kujoin shule. I looked for school. Nilizunguka na huyo mtoi. Hadi ikafika place nikasema mtoi itabidi nimefunza nyumbani mimi mwenyewe. Niache tu shughuli nafanya nilikuwa nikifunza. You go to this school, what they believe more in myth than in real thing. Nakwambia huyu ni zero. Hao watoto hata wakikufa huwa wanaburuka tu wakienda mbinguni. Anaweza hata fail class apita aende, and then tutamtoa wapi kushughulishia. So you see, umeendelea shule umeambiwa this thing, you try another one, umeambiwa this thing, you try another one. As a parent, inakuvunja in a way. But what I always tell myself is, mimi lazima nipende huyu mtoto kwa sababu mimi najua nilimbeba na nikamzaa. If I don't love this son of mine, no one else will. So hiyo tu ndio kitu huwa inafanya. It motivates me, it keeps me going.
Thank you. So, Jamil is just turned 4 years old. So when we say these challenges are present, now you can relate. I think you told me we put a face to the challenges. And this is now the face of the challenges. I'll tell you, I was born many years ago, I will not say how many. Women don't say their age. But you see Mama Jamil's experience, it is so fresh. Miaka nne si ni COVID era. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like if now, na mtoto ni huu mwaka alikuwa anaingia shule. The needs we are talking about, she's experienced them this year, 2023, the year of the Lord. Sawa? So you see the challenges we have. And we need to think, what can we do? So I wanted to give you now the story of my labor room, my mother's labor room experience. And she raises a very good point, okay? And it's only women talking. I'm going to the men on the next round. When my mother got me, so those are 30 plus years ago, she was a teenage mother. And the story I'm telling you, I only learned it from my mother in 2017 August. Sawa? So when she got me, and she was a teenage mother, you know, like when she was birthing me now, she was in this room and they're the midwives, eh? And one of them screamed. In Kikuyu, she said, "Nedu eno." In English, it means, what is this? Tuko pamoja? And she did not, you remember, any woman who has given birth can tell that process needs a lot of support.
Yeah.
This midwife left her and went to call others to come see that. And that was me. So when we hear the same story of my mother 30 plus years after, what does that tell us? What does that tell us? Nothing has changed, and we have a lot of work to do. And root mizizi tumesema, we need to solve the barrier, the attitudinal barriers from the roots. And it has to start there. If your son cannot go to the in-laws family because he's that, alisema hiyo kitu. My mother was told hicho kitu. Tumekumbuka kule mbuzi mweupe ama laana. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So we have a lot of work to do to remove attitudinal barriers. And the sad thing, the perpetrators of the attitudinal barriers are not people who have not gone to school. Because for someone to be a midwife, so they've gone through like some training. So where is the problem? Where is the problem? I want to go to the men. Tell us some of the attitudinal barriers. I was not counting the Mheshimiwa at large as a contributor. Me, I wanted to transition from his presentation. So now we have started with the men. Everybody here today will speak. Tell us. Tumeshaelewa attitude. Na watu wenye wako na albinism niko sure hujawaona leo hapa. Would tell us ushuhuda wako.
So for me, I think the first time I came into contact with persons with albinism was when I was in the university. That was the first time.
At KU?
Yes, yes. And you know, that banter that you have with friends, given that some of them, or even those you talk to, come from different parts of the country or different areas, and it happened that the few that were talking, I was passing by, and you know, a person with albinism was also leading the way, anapita huko kando. And they were saying that, hey, sasa huyu ukiwa naye class moja kweli atakaa kando yako.
You know, university.
That was at the university. And so you know, given at that time that we were not in this space where we are now aware of persons with albinism, that just like any other person, it's only that they face those barriers and they need support. That was a challenge then. But for now, we are in a space, we're working on, and we know these are people that, like any other person, they deal with us, you know, they are amongst us, so they need that support. So for me, that struck me at that time. But luckily we've not met with those friends for that period of time. But at a personal level, and later on after transiting to this other space where now we champion for the rights of persons with disabilities. So I keep on reflecting that, how many other people still take persons with albinism and even persons with disabilities the way, and as you rightfully asked, at the university. Sure. So the challenge there, actually the challenge is there.
I think you're having very good reflections. Do you all agree? Yes, and wow, my friend, I know our baby is coming. I will mix you with the man because he has spoken. I said it's a safe space. What comes to your mind? Assume right now, next month you deliver a child with albinism. How much or how well are you prepared for that child? I know it's a tough one. But you said it's a safe space.
Oh, yes.
It's not just for you, because I think we are raising very, yeah. She is my friend, by the way, so I'm allowed to ask her that question.
Yes, okay, for me, actually for us, for my family, we are aware of matters of persons who are minority, and let's say persons with disabilities. And it has been embraced actually, because if you look at most of us, we are empowered on matters to do with disability. And we are also hopeful, because I can also remember while doing special needs education, somebody asked me, why do you, first of all, you've learned in a deaf school, you are not deaf. After that, you specialized in special education. After that, I was actually teaching a child with disability, though that was a Down syndrome girl. And one of the ladies said, maybe God will also bless you with a child with a disability. So I said, you embrace all as long as it's from God. You just have to understand who persons with disabilities are. The only difference is their only barriers that they face. So,
Clap for that. I wish my mother had from another mother something like that. You see where I'm coming from? Yes. Yes. Who has not spoken? This corner here is very quiet. Tell us. Nikimaliza by their attitude, now the others are just like wrap them up, because I think this is where the issue is.
Okay, so my experience with this attitude towards a person with albinism, I got to see it during university. When I had
The famous KU. Now let me use that.
Yes. And so the issue was, I was passing by, and a group of students, they saw a guy driving a car, and he was a person with albinism. And so they were like, what qualifies these people as persons with disabilities? And so I went ahead, I did engage in the conversation, but I thought a lot about it, because I thought like they don't know what these people go through, and yet they are going to judge that they do not qualify as persons with disabilities. And later on, working with the council, now I got to know deeper about the challenges that face people with disabilities, and I realized that there is need for sensitization, like you said, and awareness, so that people can know that these challenges are there and they are real to people with disabilities and to persons with albinism.
Thank you very much. Actually, we don't have answers in this meeting. We are having reflections. I want to hear from the gentleman. So I am not, do you have another interpreter? Yeah.
There is another.
Where?
The interpreter.
Yes. No, it's because I want to pick his contribution. Yeah. Thank you.
I have heard about the challenges of persons with albinism the time I was in high school. I have seen many people with albinism so many times. Even the time when I was in college, but before that, in my lower age, I did not see them until when I went to college. And I met Mwaora at the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. And he invited us to teach us about albinism. That is how I learned more about persons with albinism. I am deaf, and we have many barriers as deaf people also, but it is life, it is normal, and it is possible for other people to engage us to change the attitudes. When we change attitudes, it's possible to have a good community and achieve what we can and have a better future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so what I was trying to actually get from all of us now is that you realize the first barrier is in the mind. And it is about attitude. And you can't be blamed. You can't be blamed because your community calls persons with albinism a white goat or says it's a curse. But there's something we can do as the people in this room and the different departments and commissions represented here. You have heard, you have seen the face of the attitudinal barriers that persons with albinism have experienced 30 years ago and are experiencing to date. Do we want next year to stand here again, talk about the same barriers and not do anything? So here, I put people to task because we have at least the commissioner here, the CEO for the commission. We need a commitment on the attitudinal barriers and what can be done. What can the commission really do to assure these parents and the upcoming parents that their children will be safe being born with albinism in this country? What can we do?
I think addressing the root cause of all this is significant, and entrenching the same in our school system. If you allow me to pick, for example, the amount of work we have done with the KICD, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, if we can begin now that we have content on human rights, we can enhance more the content on albinism, because already when intersex we have some content. This way, children growing up, they would begin to understand, these very special interest groups, and catching them when they are young, I believe, is one of those best methods of dealing with, this kind of stigmatization and even name calling. Because I didn't have the opportunity to also share our experience right in my village when I was very young, and I grew in a very extremely rural kind of environment. And we had one young man with albinism, and he was given the name because people would not understand why it was different from the rest. So in the community where I come from, they call you Omosongo, Omosongo, or Omosota. Those are the names, and they just grew, up with those names in the village. And of course, his parents understood him. Wakampeleka Shule is a very, very prominent person in the education sector, as I'm speaking with you right now. So we are up to the task, and we keep on engaging on the same. And maybe, Martin, our entry points also in the human rights clubs, in schools, would be very good avenues again of championing the rights of persons with albinism.
Thank you very much. And Martin, maybe then, as you champion in those human rights clubs, there's the power of lived experience.
Yes, correct.
Let persons with albinism be on the front line in really like championing and talking to children and to students about albinism. And I really like the point about like enhancing the human rights curriculum to capture albinism across board.
Yeah.
And Isaac, you see, most people can identify a lot with seeing you and encountering you, and so I think I want to jump to another barrier that is on the issue of participation and policy and say representation matters. Because if you are never there at KU or at the council or somewhere else positioned that people find you and you became a conversation starter, what would have happened? He wouldn't have been like having the knowledge he has on albinism now, and many other people. So I think what the other barrier on participation and policy really is that we really need to ensure that persons with albinism are involved in matters, in decision-making processes and matters that not only affect them because they have albinism, but matters that affect people because they are human beings. Do you get where I'm coming from? So the participation and the policy barrier, I wanted to talk about it, and because it's been brought up well, I think it's already covered well. But in terms of policy gaps, I think already we know, and I know the council and the commission are leading on the national policy on albinism. So we hope then that the policy speaks to the truth and to the experiences of the people in this room and those that are back in our villages. It can only be effective if it has the heart of those that we represent at the core of it. The other barrier.
Maybe.
Sorry, yes, thank you.
Because I think you wanted me to say something, then you went back with the mic.
I know. Because I realized you were busy somewhere.
No, I'm just saying. So thank you, Jen. I think there are two things that I want to share with you in terms of inclusion. One day we were in an albinism function. Jen was also there, and some person with albinism was a cameraman. So the way he was behaving was like he had to come close, he was squinting, and to look awkward that he was a cameraman. So you start wondering the quality of those photos. So we are not vizuri. But when the photos were out, they were really good. Yeah, they were really good, they were as professional as any other person can. And that's the issue about inclusion. People find it hard to accept you being part of something because they're not used to seeing you doing it. Okay. So when I started being in politics in KU, KU, how are you? I'm sure the person you're talking about who was driving was Professor Kakai, he's a professor of history. And when I was a student leader there, when I was running to be chairman of KUSA, let me tell you a story. My competitors deliberately confused the electorate, but with Professor Kakai, and because he was driving a car, and I had at that point been appointed to sit in the Disability Council, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. I was a student, by the way. So they came up with the slogan, "One man, one job. One man, one job." Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they were even telling each other that I drive. How can you elect
someone who drives?
So yeah. So that is the people think we are all one, and that's why I say one size fits all. But also when I joined now my first political party, Kenya has developed a culture of you belonging to political parties that you are a life member, only that the party dies before you die. or you move on. It was very strange. Eh? 2 instances. You'd shake people's hands, they would be hesitant, and then some of them, unaona wanapanguza mkono subconsciously. Yeah, that is how hard it was. Mtu anapanguza mkono hivi. But these are MPs, eh? They are serious people. Yeah. And then one day, just when I was way back in 2006, we were in the same meeting somewhere, because I remember this very well. And in that meeting, I think everybody who matters in politics was there, including Rigathi Gachagua, that time when ODM had come. So I raised my hand to speak. And then MP for Ugenya, the late Bishop Obieki, is a relative of James Orengo. He said, "Where people like you are not supposed to speak here." Yeah. So I had to put down my hand because I should not speak. I was sitting next to him. So and then at that point, because I was a first really inclusion of in politics, I was told to bring disabled people, persons with disabilities, as observers, 5 of them. So their work was to sit at the top there and see other people exercising democracy. Can you imagine how
Then they were
that
not
is?
voting.
They should know, they are observers, you understand? And it's in the constitution, 5 people who are observers. So you can imagine my friend Godriva Mondi, she was once a senator and MCA later, just a senator became an MCA. We had to get them on wheelchairs up at the Bombers Gallery.
Wow.
So that's how we come. But now, what was interesting is that as I continued to talk, people started saying, "Oh, Maura is actually very intelligent, or he's very eloquent." So I moved from being told not to raise my hand to reading the press statement, flanked here by Mr. Odinga, Kalonzo, Wetangula, and my other members of parliament. Now I've become an MP, being very jealous that I'm the one reading the statement. So you can see that journey, eh?
Yeah.
So it's not easy for those parents who are here. I'm even happy that you are saying when we ask those of us when we were being born, there is no need for albinism in Kikuyu, for example.
Yes.
There is no need for albinism in Kikuyu. So lead on there. At least for the Luyas,
They had
a name. And by the way, Pepela, I correlate that with the fact that Wanyoni Pepela was elected MCA and now is MP. So because they had a name, maybe it was more inclusive than the societies like ours where there was no name. Because Omusungu or Mudongo is really the white man, Muzungu. And that is why I owned up that name. You hear people calling me Mudongo Arroyo. I call myself that because when I went to elections, can you imagine saying Maura Arubino? Will you elect that person? Maura Arubino? It's very distancing, yeah? And very, you don't want to come close to side, yeah? And so I came up with Mudongo Arroyo for 2 reasons. First is to localize me as belonging to some place, because we are always shown to be alien, you know, we belong to the West. Most of you who have albinism here will relate. People will speak to you in English and expect to have a twang. Not speak your mother tongue. And if they are saying in you, then you should keep quiet and assume you are hearing nothing. Then when you talk in Kikuyu, they get surprised. But at least now they know we know. So Mudongo Arroyo was to localize, but also to remove the Arubino, not Albino, Arubino, so that then you can say, and for sure, I did a survey in Ruido, and Mudongo Arroyo was known more, 99% than Isaac Mawala. And it was a positivist message. And even the president actually calls me Mudongo Arroyo. It's become a normal. But then, listen to this. When I applied to be a student leader in KU, I had a challenge that time because I had posters. But then when ukiweka your poster bila kofia, kichwa ilikuwa, they were black and white that time, we put it above camera. The head looked open. So watu walikuwa wanakuja na kalamu wanaongeza nini? So to complete the what? the circle. So I had to do color, and it was expensive that time. It was $250. So what am I trying to say? For somebody else, it's not, it's an issue, yeah.
Yeah.
But for those with albinism, it's a big issue because it's about image. And then black and white was not trained for our kind of skin, so it makes you look a bit not very pleasant. Nowadays, the cameras are trained more to look at people.
They
In
are
fact,
made for us.
yeah, it's like now they are for white people, yeah.
Yes.
So we tunabahatikia hapo. You will benefit because the camera is straight. You understand that? It will see things in a certain way. But then in 2017, when I was running for MP, and this is my final example. Actually, no, let me give you two so that you understand how far we've come. So when I was running for MP in January of 2016, my competitor then, who was a woman, we are very good friends now. You must take that as Kenya. Alikuwa anaambia watu hawezi wakachagua nguruwe. Yeah? Kikuyu, but those ones like tupike nguruwe. You understand that? Because of the color of the skin. Yeah? Of course, I don't know. I think we Africans call white people nguruwe. So it's, I think, sometimes yes, or a cat. I hear so but you can imagine the stigma there.
Yeah.
And then I had recently gotten married. Then they started saying, I cannot sire a child. So again in Kikuyu they say, Bora de data. Yani mimi ni tasa, mimi siwezi kazaa. But as God planned, the moment my wife and I were successful, there were triplets. So then the narrative changed like, hawa watu. So there is that hero zero kind of space.
Yeah.
Then my competitor organized goons to attack me. I'm sure some of you saw that. And they hit me here because I was winning, and he was getting very scared because I was rising in popularity. And then they missed my ear was torn. They missed my brain by 2 inches. So I had to do overnight surgery reconstruction because it was a history of violence. So he won the election because he's tall anyway, but it's normal. He came in a quiet. So this guy had been attacked in 2013, so he never participated in the election, and the woman lady won. So he was also doing that to me because I was his threat, you know. So the idea was that I do not become organized on the polling day, and somehow they succeeded. So you can see that. But then what was interesting was, so I'm telling you the stories of a trailblazer, of a pioneer. You know, battles that we fight that you may never know. People were more fascinated to see that I had red blood. That's funny, eh?
Yes.
But kumbe hao wana damu nyekundu kama? Yes. Because you see now there was this stone here that was circulating on social media. So you can imagine. So what is it that I'm trying to say? Many people tell me they see me on TV. So the constant challenge of image, okay, of playing roles, of being a medical doctor, of being a nurse, of being a mother, okay, of having the challenges that come with marriage, for example, or you know that is a representation we are looking at here, because the more they are brought to the fore, the more we become human. So that Mama, I forget your name, Mama Jameen will not be told that her child will disappear in school, so we cannot admit her. However, I must say this. I think this whole conversation is a power relation issue. Dr. Mogesa.
Yes.
People do not discriminate because they do not necessarily understand. No. It is a way to allocate scarce resources, including power and access to it. Why am I saying so? When you interact with people more, they actually come to appreciate your talents.
It's true.
But they will use albinism or disability against you when it is convenient. Yeah, so that you do not get what they rightly so to do. They also will paint you as undeserving, therefore. You understand that?
Yes.
So that then you do not lay claim to the same. And even your achievements are going to be understated, okay? So that you do not seem to. It is the way it moves. And then later, your mistakes will be amplified. Okay, you are supposed to be this saint who doesn't do any wrong. But the moment you make a simple mistake like any other human is where it will be amplified to, so that look at them, even then. So if you find a disabled woman who is pregnant, haya, hata hawa wanafanyanga hii maneno. You get the point, eh? Yeah. So that is a contradiction that we find ourselves into. You know, in between, we suffer from what we call in-betweeners. You know, white, but not white enough. Because you're not Mzungu. I went to school in England. I can tell you even there I was discriminated. Because you have a white skin but with a black African body. So we are nakaa aje. Unaelewa? So you stand out even there. So white but not white enough. Black but not black enough. Disabled but not disabled enough. Blind but not blind enough.
I think let's give Mheshimiwa a try. I think Mheshimiwa, with those examples, I just wanted to give one. You call on 9th of February 2021 when you were actually attacked in Parliament. It was in the Senate,
It was at a public rally.
It was at a public rally
in Turkana.
In Turkana.
Yes.
And you actually called names, which was very unfortunate, and this was coming from a member of Parliament. But you recall I issued a very strong statement. Condemning, it was really bad, but I stood with you. Kabisa nikasema hii nitaiweka kidole. Mwenye atasikia ameguzwa roho vibaya ni shauri yake ama ni yeye kabisa.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mugesa. And that's why, for example, in terms of the journey towards inclusion, we don't take a lot of time. Those who are starting out, parents who are here, you are going to be loud as because we've been the ones talking. In terms of advocacy, that's what I mean. And even the young people who are there, people school, Andrew, of course. Sarah, yeah. So Dr. Mugesa and I were working together somewhere.
Yes.
Today he is a commission secretary. You see now he carries with us the message.
Yeah.
So when we are attacked, he can defend.
Yeah.
So don't mind where you are. Today you are there. Today you could be where we are or even higher.
Yeah. Sure.
So who had attacked me? It was Junet Mohammed, saying that I had bleached myself to be nominated.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes.
So, and then of course there was a very serious public outcry because when you differ with me politically, there that was a big trouble. And then he said, no, we are not attacking people with albinism. We are attacking Maora person. Jane, remember, you should have very good president at Serena. And then I was approached by Moses Kuria, and we have a handshake at Parliament with Junet to Sameher. I refused because I would have been validating bad manners. We reported to NCIC. I don't know, there's something from NCIC, they did nothing. That commission should be closed. Anyway, let me come to the other issue there. And finally, just to say, Raila Odinga one day went to all the Kikuyu stations. Yeah? Tell me how you react to this. And started saying how he has association with Kikuyus because he was trying to win votes. Then he went like, hata huyu Maora Zeruzeru ni mimi nilinominate. Now I had a challenge there. How would you have dealt with that? You understand that? Because if you confront this man angrily, this man has a respect of Kenyans. He was a potential president, and I have had a working relationship with him. But he's now exposing ignorance by using an outlawed term. So how do you react to that? So you have two options. So what did I do? Maybe some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have. That's it. I would have retorted angrily and become insolent. And I think that was what was expected from me that time because of the acrimonious political position that I was, because they had removed me from the Senate and all of that, but I don't want to go into that. So what did I do? I responded by saying, respectfully, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, we no longer refer to